So
Okay.
Until I get there,
Okay.
I didn't want to miss.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're on Nun Zayin Amud Beis, and we're middle of the sugya of Yisuri Hana. The Mishnah has a long list of things that also bana. The main point is to say that if someone's mekadosh with Yisuri Hana, it's not a shavakruta, and therefore it's not a good Kiddushin. Avrohom asked to point out that even though it's the Issa which is standing in the way, and on the market you might find that there's a market for it, but since you're not allowed to, that's the reason that it's also not considered a shavakruta, even though the person might be over an avera. So we had 9 things altogether. Yesterday we did 5, and we have 4 more left. Seir Nazir. Seir Nazir means that the Nazir is supposed to cut his hair and put it under the dud of the korban. And here it says that it's Asur Bana. The hair is Asur Bana. And if someone's Makadosh with the hair of the Nazir, it's not a good Kiddushin. Menovan, how do you know that the hair of the Nazir is Asur Bana? That the Nazir should be holy. Pashup Shat, the Nazir should be holy, and therefore he should, when he grows his hair, he should grow his hair long. But it doesn't say that the hair is Kodesh, but the Gemara is making a drash. Kidulo Yeh Kadosh. Not only the Kadosh Yeh means that the man is holy, the Gemara is dashing that the hair should be holy. So that seems to be a drash. Kadosh Yeh. But the Gemara says, if so, if you say it's like Kodesh, Ima Kodesh, Tofas is Dama, Vyotze L'chulin, Napser, Nazir, Tofas is Dama, Vyotze L'chulin. If the Gemara means to say that it's mamish like Kodesh, Kodesh means like Kachim. Kachim is holy and Sasabana. But the din is that you could be mechalel it onto something else, which means it's tofas damab, that it seizes. The word tofas means it seizes. It seizes the money, means whatever transfer you made onto it. So the transfer takes place, takes effect, and it itself goes l'chulin. So maybe also you could be mechalel sa'ar nazir. You'd be able to make it like kodesh. So you could sell it, and then the money is going to become holy, and the hair is going to become l'chulin. And that's not true. The din is that it's not tofas damab. That's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara answers, "Mi karinan kodesh, kadosh karinan, kadosh yiyeh." It says kuf dalashin, and we're told to read it kadosh yiyeh. Kodesh. So Rashi says the difference between kodesh and kadosh. So I can't say for sure that I understand, but Rashi, I think the pashut pshat kadosh yiyeh would mean that the man is holy. The word kodesh means, I think the point that Rashi is to say kodesh mashma shem kedusha, and kadosh is mashma hu kadosh. So I can't say for sure if I know what Rashi means. I would imagine that the pshat would be that if he says kodesh, kodesh means it's like other kind of holy things, holy objects. We know the din of holy objects, kachim, karbonis, and the like. So we know that it's tofes damim, and those are the chulin. You could transfer the kedusha, the money, the exchange becomes holy, and it goes out. But that's if we would say kodesh, that it's like holy things. But the word kadosh, it means holy, but not meaning holy things. So it's not exactly. I think the shot is going to be that it's coming to minimize from the mashmos, even though we are dashing that it has something similar to kodesh, which means that it is asabana. But we're not going to say that it's completely like kodesh because it isn't the exact same. The word doesn't mean that. The word doesn't mean even after your dashing is going on the hair, not on the person. But it's enough of a change that it doesn't mean it's mamish like kodesh. It has a similarity. So we're going to learn out that it is asabana, but it's not tofis damin. And it doesn't go Yosef Chulin, it stays holy. It's impossible to transfer the Kiddushin to something else. So that's the halacha. The Seir Nazir is Asur Bana. Next one is Petach Hamor. So Petach Hamor means the firstborn male donkey that is supposed to be poded. You give the Kohen a sheep, you don't give the Kohen the donkey, you give the Kohen a sheep, which is exchanged, and then that's fitting Petach Hamor. Here it says the Petach Hamor, the donkey itself is also Bana. But the Gemara says not so simple. Naming Masis and Rabbi Shimon, if so, the mission is against Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon knows that it's Mutar Bana. The Tanya Petach Hamor is Bana, Div Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon Matir. So our mission that says that the Petach Hamor is also Bana sounds like Rabbi Yehuda only. The Gemara says sometimes Rabbi Shimon is also masking. After you killed it, means the din is if you're not poded, if you weren't poded, so you're supposed to kill the donkey by chopping his head off. So everyone agrees that it's asabana after that. After you killed the donkey, so then Rav Shimon also agrees that it's asabana. The machlokes is only if you didn't kill it. Before you were poded, is the donkey asabana. After you poded, then it's a regular chulin. But before you poded, that's machlokes if it's mutar bana. The live donkey is a machlokes if it's mutar bana or not. But once you killed it, everyone knows that it's asa. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, we pass on like you can learn the Mishnah simple. Petach Hamor is asabana before or after. But according to Rabbi Shimon, he'll learn the Mishnah is only talking about after you killed it. Good. Everyone's good with that. The next one, basar b'cholav. Basar b'cholav was asa bana. Basar b'cholav was asa bana if you cooked it. If you cooked basar b'cholav was only to cook it together. Of course, there are many drabanans, and we don't even eat a cold cheeseburger, and we don't even eat the cheese 6 hours after the burger. But that's all drabanans. But with the rice, it's only us if you cook it, and then it's asa b'chila asa bana. It's asa to cook it. It's asa to eat it. It's asa even, but only after you cooked it.
A cold cheeseburger was cooked.
Oh, I meant, you're right.
Yeah.
I meant a burger that's cold now, and you put a slice of cheese. So that with the rice is mutter.
No, but the rice, if you put it in the microwave, it's not possible to be also eaten.
Okay,
Why?
maybe it's not.
It's
Good.
not something.
Okay,
All right.
but I want to allowed to do all this thing even with 6 hours, only 6 hours in between, or 3 hours, whatever you want to get. But with the rice, it's only us if you cooked it together. If you cooked it together, that was an issue already. Even if you don't eat it, just to cook it alone is asa. And then you're not allowed to eat it. You're not allowed to even have a and that's what we want to know. How do you know basar b'cholav was asa bana? Manola, the time of the Rabbi Shmuel. It says those vasha gudi b'chalev imo. It says gimel pamim. It says it 3 times the same pasuk. It says the same pasuk 3 times in the Torah, and that's the din of basar b'cholav. Echad is achila, echad is rana, echad is visual. It says 3 times. Why say 3 times? To learn out these 3 soon. One is that you're not allowed to eat it. One is that you're not allowed to benefit from it. And one is that you're not allowed to even cook it. Even the cooking itself is an issue also. So that's the source to know that you're not.
You can't sell it.
No.
So why don't they sell it to Goyim?
Can't. I know. No.
Yeah, the Mishnah, if you sold it, so they did Avera, but the money's mutter. That's true. But if you gave the woman the basar b'cholav, it's worthless because it's us at the sell it or to use it anyway. So that's good. We have the Mishnah with the source. So we should do that also, like we always try to do, to make the source over here. Lo savash gudi, b'chalev limo. Wrong one. Sorry. Okay. I don't know if it's worth all this graphics. Let's see. B'chalev limo. Not listening too much today. I have one after this. Bring it. That it says 3 times. The pasuk to tell you 1 time tells you it's Shana. The next point. Masisim don't get Tana. The ambition is talking not like everyone. There is a Tana that holds that basar b'cholav was mutter bana. The Tanya, Shimon Yehuda, they stick in Mishum Rabbi Shimon Omer. Basar b'cholav, basar b'chila mutter bana. Perish. Rabbi Shimon holds. Rabbi Shimon Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon says that basar b'cholav was mutter bana. He also agrees that you're not allowed to cook it, you're not allowed to eat it, but he says it is mutter bana. So he would be against the Mishnah. He would say that if you give a woman basar b'cholav, it is kibul kadeshes. Shenema kiyam kadosh atol Hashem l'kacha los b'shal gedi b'chalev imo. He has a drasha to say that it's mutter. I don't know why that's not enough to say that he doesn't hold that at 3 drushes before, but he says here next to right before the pasuk of los b'shal gedi b'chalev imo, it says kiyam kadosh l'Hashem l'kacha. You're a holy nation to Hashem, and therefore you should not do basar b'cholav. That's another pasuk that says by treifa you should be holy people, and over there that is in a treifa it is mutter bana. Treifa it says in the pasuk openly throw it to the dog. So it says that treifa is mutter bana, and over there it calls you holy people. I'm sorry?
They're throwing it to the dog.
That's enough.
It's your dog.
I'm not following. You're allowed to throw it to the dog. You're allowed to have enough from it. You're not allowed to eat it. You're allowed to have enough of it. And over there it says something about the holy people, and here it also says you're holy people. So just like over there, ma lahalon is mutter bana, afkan nasa b'chila mutter bana. So now the Gemara leaves it as it is. You're right. The Mishnah is not like everybody. Our Mishnah would not to be like Reb Shimon. Both of them were Reb Shimon. For Petach Hamor also, Reb Shimon could say I agree to the Mishnah if it's after he killed Petach Hamor. Good. And this Mishnah can't be like Reb Shimon because it says basar b'cholav was us. Reb Shimon knows basar b'cholav was mutter bana. So the Mishnah, this part of the Mishnah is against Reb Shimon.
That's what he does with one of his own special.
What does he do with one of them?
But it's this drasha, not the other.
But the question is why you have to have a drasha. What part? What if it doesn't say anything? If it wouldn't say anything, would you have said that it's mutter or asa? If you need a pasuk to say it's asa, so then why does the pasuk say a 3rd time and then say drasha? I don't know. And this is the last one. The last of the 9 is chonshinish chatu bazar. What do the words mean? That you shechted a regular animal, chulin. That you shechted in the Beis Hamikdash and in the courtyard of the base of Mikdash is supposed to be only for kachim. So, in the air, you shechted chulin in the Zara, so it says that you're not allowed to, we're going to see you're not allowed to do it, and you're not allowed to eat it. If you did, then you're not allowed to have enough from it either. That's the point of our Mishnah, that it's not worth anything. And that's going to be the drasha. Not immediately. So it brings down a long issue over here now. And Rashi says a little different. Rashi says different than I'm going to say. But I just would like to learn the Gemara. I think it's a bit easier. Not like Rashi, but everyone can see Rashi. I would like to learn the beginning of the Gemara is just talking about how you know you're not allowed to do it. There are 3 points. One is you're not allowed to do it. One is you're not allowed to eat it. If you did, one is you're not allowed to have a no. So it might be easy to learn the Gemara that at the beginning of the Gemara wants to know how you know you're not allowed to do it. And at the end, we have to get even that you're not allowed to have a no either. So it sounds like a Tana. There's a Tana talking. Torah shchot li shali b'shali b'shalcha b'shalcha. The Torah says, "Shecht mine." Hashem is talking. Shecht mine in my territory, and shecht yours in your territory. Means if it says in the pasuk you're supposed to shecht kachim in the Beis Hamikdash, so you could derive from that you're supposed to shecht chulin out of the Beis Hamikdash. This is the place for the kachim in kachim, and chulin outside. Ma shali b'shalach aser, just like karbonis. Hashem is the karbonis in your territory. No, you're not allowed to. That it says openly. Kachim b'chutz is aser. That it says you're not allowed to do kachim b'chutz. So just like it's aser, af shalcha b'shali aser. Maybe you could learn that the Gemara is talking about how you know you're not allowed to do it. Means, I should go back a little bit. The first part that it says, shalcha b'shalcha is open pasuk. Shali b'shali, you have to do kachim inside the kodesh, inside the base of Mikdash. The Perish pasuk, it says kachim b'chutz. It says if you do kachim b'chutz, it's terrible, it's hype chorus. So that's one thing. And it says shalcha b'shalcha, that your chulin you should do outside. That also it says you could. It says opening the pasuk, yechak m'cham makom. So you could shecht outside. You don't have to do it. So shecht. So that says openly that you may, but now more saying more than you may. The pasuk even says that you must, just like shali b'shalcha aser, you're not allowed to shecht kachim outside. So av shalcha b'shali aser, so you're not allowed to shecht chulin in the kodesh. So we know already that you're not allowed to do it. I'm suggesting to learn the Gemara that you're not allowed to do it. We didn't talk yet if it's aser to eat it, or Rashi does learn the Gemara is already saying if it's aser to eat it or not. But I think it's just easier to learn the Gemara at this point that you're not allowed to do it. First, we know that you're allowed to. You're allowed to do it chulin outside, like it says so you can shecht out far away. But now it's saying that you're not allowed to. So we know now that you're not allowed to do chulin bazar. Next point. You might say that it's chayv koros also, because if someone does kachim b'chutz, it's chayv koros. If somebody shechted kachim outside the Beis Hamikdash, it's chayv koros. So you might think also if you do chulin b'azar, it's also going to be chayv koros. No, it says in the pasuk that if you didn't bring the kachim to the whole moed, it's chayv koros. So we derive from there that that's only chayv koros. Al korban onish koros, al chulin sheish b'azar ain't onish koros. The Issachar, the Chiv Koros is only if you do kachim outside. But if you do chulin inside, it's aser, but it's not Chayiv Koros. So far we learned that you're not allowed to do it, and it's not Chayiv Koros. But the Gemara now asks, there's a kasha on the drasha. If after we have the drasha to say that it's surely not a Chiv Koros on doing it outside, chulin inside, it's Chiv Koros for doing kachim outside. There's no Chiv Koros for doing chulin inside. But once we have this difference, so then the whole drasha falls off, because we can't learn now that it's aser either. The only way we learn that it's aser is because it's comparable, but it's not comparable, because as bad as it's going to be, it's not going to be chayv koros. So since it's not since you can't compare it all the way, so you have no right to learn now that it's aser at all. So the Gemara so far just talked about if it's aser to do, and that was a Yochanan in the name of Rav Meir, and it didn't work. The Gemara tried to find that source that you're not allowed to do chulin bazara. And the drasha was going to be learning out from the comparison to kachim b'chutz to learn out chulin b'fnim. And the Gemara said it's not a good drasha because when kachim b'chutz is chayv koros, and the worst is going to be chulin b'fnim is never going to be koros. So maybe it's not even aser at all. So the Gemara continues. A different drasha to learn out. Again, how do you know that it's aser? Then we're going to go on after we get that. We're going to know how you know you're not allowed to eat it. And how you know you're not allowed to have no? It says ushchato, v'shachato so, v'shachato so. Pasuk right. Yiseri. It says 3 extra psukim. So this is talking about a korban shlomim. Rashi tells us where the pasuk is. It's all in the beginning of Vayikra, Perek Gimel over there, where it talks about a korban shlomim, and it says 3 kinds of korban shlomim, and it has 3 parshas, one after the next. One is talking about bakar, one is talking about tzon, one is talking about aiz. It says the same thing over again. Come out 3 times. That there's a possibility to bring a korban shlomim. You can bring it from a cow, you can bring it from a sheep, you can bring it from a goat, and it says the same parsha each time. And each time it says, and he shechted, ushchato, pesach al moed. And the second time it says shachato, so you should shecht it, you should shecht it. Each time it says about shechting it. So the word it each time is extra. It could say shachat, somewhat korban shlomim, and you shecht the pesach al moed. Why doesn't it have to say shecht it? The vav, the shachato, or the word also, all of them are extra. It says 3 times shecht it, shecht it, shecht it in the kodesh. Ma'atam uloma. Why do you have to have 3 extra psukim that say it? The fish since there's a pasuk that says that if you're far away from the Beis Hamikdash, you can bring, you could slaughter a chulin away from the Beis Hamikdash, and we know about the chulin shalishchatu ba'azara. The Gemara is going to get. We're going a little bit out of the question we're asking. We're asking, why does it say the word shchato 3 times? Why does it say shechtit, shechtit, shechtit? So the it, we're going to come back to the answer to the question. So far, Abaye backtracks, and he says that surely you're not allowed to do chulin bazar. And he tells you, you know how? You know why? Because the pasuk says if you're far away, you may shecht. That's what the pasuk is. Maybe we'll see the pasuk over here. Might have to see the pasuk. No. Let's show the pasuk over here. Yeah, let's see if I can get it on the screen. Here is a bit of pasuk 12:21. If the place that Hashem chose to rest His name, to place His name, is far away from you. In short, if you're far away from the Beis Hamikdash, so you may slaughter your cattle and sheep that Hashem has given you, as I commanded you. Shecht as I commanded you. And eat in your cities as you desire. So the pasuk says in short that you're allowed to eat chulin. You don't think you're allowed to eat the karbanos. If you're now in the Mishkan, in the midbar, everyone's close by, you want to bring a korban, you want to eat, so bring a korban, and eat it also. But if you're far away and you can't bring karbanos, so you may eat, you may slaughter as I commanded how to slaughter, and eat in your own cities. But the more is darshaning that you you must, that if you're far away, you're allowed to slaughter, but you're not allowed to slaughter inside the Beis Hamikdash. Means your personal cattle and sheep, you're allowed to slaughter far away. You're far away, you're allowed to slaughter, but you're not allowed to slaughter your personal animals in the Beis Hamikdash. That's another way of saying that you're not allowed to do chulin bazar. So Abaye so far has succeeded to find that you're not allowed to do it. The pasuk says, it's missing some words in between, like the pasuk shows. There are many psukim, many words in between, but the pasuk ends off as avachta, and the drasha is you're allowed to slaughter far away, but you're not allowed to slaughter inside the Beis Hamikdash. This is telling you that you're not allowed to shech chulin bazar. So Abaye already has succeeded in finding that you're not allowed to do it. But he goes on, maybe it's only us to bring in the azara kind of an animal that could have been a korban. It could have been a korban. You're right here in the Beis Hamikdash. You're bringing a korban. Why are you doing the azara? But that's only if it's a tamen. Only if it's a non-blemished animal and you're in the azara. So then bring it as a korban. And if you brought it as chulin, that's an azara. But if it would be a balmum, maybe since anyway you can't bring it as a korban, maybe you're allowed to shech it in the azara. The answer is no. Ma bani as bali mumim shekain min ha-machshir. The Gemara really means, the Gemara leaves out, the Gemara is going to do it in a second, but this is going to be the answer why it says ushchato 3 times. The Avaya preface, that it says the word ushchato 3 times, either shchato or shachato, so it says 3 times extra. This is going to be the answer. That it says you're not allowed to shech chulin bazara, but you have to have 3 times that it says shech it, shech kachin in bazara, and not chulin. Why does it have to say so many times? Because you have to have Kiddushin that even a Balmum, because you might think only a Tamim is us. If it says you're not allowed to, if it just says a pasuk that you're not allowed to do Chulin Bazara, I wouldn't think of Mum, a Balmum, only a Tamim. So yeah, it's as if the Gemara would say, I'm going to stick in what the Gemara means to say. The Gemara is going to say it at the end, but I'm going to stick it in meanwhile just to make it simpler. The answer is, it says, not a pasuk to say that only kachim is inside, Chulin is outside. That means even a balmum. Next, maybe even after you know that a balmum is because it's the same kind of animal, it's the same min. It's a min amachshir, min akosher. That it's a kosher animal. It's the kind of an animal. This happens to be a balmum, but it's a type of animal at least that could be a korban. How do you know that a chaya, a deer, which is not do with korbanos, maybe that you are allowed to shecht inside the azara? Tamud lomar, I'm sticking in. Tamud lomar v'shachatoso. That again it says only kachim is in the azara, chulin is outside. To tell you even a chaya. Marbani as a chaya shehi b'shchita to behema. L'nayin the rabbi says ofos. That's only an animal which at least is similar to a chaya, a wild beast, a deer that is at least similar to an animal that is b'shchita, but opos maybe not. So Rashi says a little different, but Machavus offered a simple pshat. L'nayin the rabbi says opos that in the base of mikdash is supposed to be mamalika. When you do oath in the base of mikdash, how do you do it? You do malika, and you're doing shchita. You want to do shchita of a bird inside the base of mikdash. You might think that that's the Torah didn't answer because it's not shaykh at all to what they do in the base of mikdash. When they have birds in the base of mikdash, they do malika with the fingernail. So maybe that's not included in this of doing chulin bazara. Talmud loma. So now here it says Talmud loma of all the three. Ushchato, v'shachatoso, v'shachatoso. That's what the Gemara meant the whole time, to insert the whole time, that it says 3 times, to tell even a balmum, even a chaya, even a bird. So what do we know so far? That you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to shech chulin bazara, not even a balmum, not even a chaya, not even a bird. Now the Gemara goes further, which we're still going to get to our subject. Our subject is how you know it's asabana. We didn't talk about it even yet, according to the way I'm explaining the Gemara. Maybe allowed to eat it. This time we're getting at least Esser Achila. How do you know that if you did Chulin Bazar, who says you're not allowed to eat it? Maybe you're allowed to eat it. You shouldn't have done it. So we added on the word V'achalta. The pasuk, as we saw on the side, we can look at it again. So it says, if you're far away, so you may slaughter and eat it in your city. But the Gemara is mentioning that you must slaughter outside. If you're outside, then you can slaughter and eat it, but not inside, and you could eat. So with darshaning that when may you eat it? Only if you slaughtered outside. But if you didn't do what I said, you slaughtered inside, then you're not allowed to eat it. So we have a drasha now that you're not allowed to eat bazar. If you shechted it far away, then you're allowed to eat it. So you're not allowed to eat that which you shechted inside the base of mikdash. So we have learned already that you're not allowed to shecht it. And we said even a tosefet, even a balmum, even a chay, even a bird. And if you did, you're not allowed to eat it because it says in the pasuk, only eat what you shechted far away. But if you shechted food in the zone, you're not allowed to eat it. We still didn't get to our point. We're looking for Israel. No, we still didn't get to it.
This is it's a
right. Right. The same thing over again. After the Muslims say now that once we say now that you're not allowed to eat it, it's not all the three things that we spoke about, even a balmum, even a chaya, even a bird. We're going to say the same thing over again. You don't need that extra few psukim. Whatever you're not allowed to do, you're not allowed to eat. We learned already that you're not allowed to do it. Now we're going to say, just has it over again, another 5 lines to say that whatever's included in the Isser to do is also included in the Isser to eat. Just enlarge it a little bit. And the other Tmima Wim the Koreh, 9 of Rabba's Balim Mumen. How do you get a Balmum? The answer is going to be because it says Ushchato. Ma'abani Balmum, and she came in a Machshia, in a Kasha, and Rabba says Sachaya. Maybe even that is only because it's the same type of animal. But if it's a Chaya, that is maybe a lot of, maybe it's mutter to eat. No, the answer is it says V'shachato so. Ma'abani Asachaya she b'shchita k'beima, and Rabba says Ofos, Tamid Loma, V'shachato, V'shachato so. That we know that all these things are not allowed to do, and also that's what it says that you're not allowed to eat. So we know already that you're not allowed to eat chum shnishtul bazara, all three types. No, 4 types. A regular kosher animal for a korban, even if it's a balmum, even if it's a chaya, even if it's a bird. Now we get to the subject. If you want to make a short version of the Gemara, we could have started here. The question the Gemara started off, how do you know? Everything till now could be parentheses. And now we start, because you might think that you're not allowed to. But if you did, you can give it to the dogs, which means mutar bana, which is the only thing we're interested in. That's what we wanted to know in our Mishnah. How do you know that bazara is asur bana? No shaykhs to everything we said till now. Also, but it didn't have treifa. It says if you have an animal which is a treifa, throw it to the dogs. And it says the word also. It didn't have to say the word also. It could have said like it says throw it to the dog. That's coming to say that something else you're not allowed to throw it to the dog. Also at the that only treifa you're allowed to give to the dogs, but something else you're not allowed to give to the dogs. So how are we supposed to figure out that it means bazar? Like the is no shaykhs over here. What does treifa have to do with bazar? So Rashi tells us that is a treifa between in treifa. It says treifa is mutar bana, and something else is not. Something else. So how am I supposed to be such a genius to figure out that there's something else that's bazar? Something else is asur bana. So look around the world, like how am I supposed to know that? So Rashi tells us it has something to do with being in the mechitza, out of the mechitza. A treifa is called that it's out of the mechitza. It's out of the place that it's supposed to be. Rashi gives an example of kinds of treifas because it's not in its proper place. Like a case would be if a fetus is yatsa b'sachusla mechitzaso b'goldi kasada, it has a din of a treifa. That uber shahosi yasodo, if a fetus stuck out its hand, so and you shechted the mother while part of the fetus is sticking out. So the part that's outside is asa. It's also considered a treifa. Basa treifa. There's a drasha that pasuk over there by treifa that something which is out of its domain is considered a treifa. So the halach of treifa is called when it's out of its place. And the case of chulin bazar is that it's inside. It's inside the mechitza. There's a problem of treifa which is called that it's out of the mechitza, yatzam mechitzasa, and the definition of foolish bazar means it came into the mechitza. You shouldn't have gone so close in. So that's what Rashi says that would be the drasha. At the end of the Rashi says this is knisas mechitza. Think that go yitzias mechitza, a thing which is became also because it went out of the place, so then it's mutar bana. But a thing which is also because it came into a place which it shouldn't have come, over there it's asur bana. So we finally got to the drasha, and if you want to do a kitzur of the Gemara, it's very short. The Gemara started off. How do you know that it's asa? Because it says by treifa, also that it's mutar bana. It's mutar bana. It you can throw it to the dog. Something else you can't throw it to the dog, and that something else is going to be a chulin shishtu bazara, and we now know that chulin shishtu bazara is asur bana. So that was a nice, easy Gemara. If you do the kitzur, and we learned that on the way that chulin shishtu bazara is asur, even it's asur to do. It's not chayv kos, but it's asur to do. No difference if it's a kosher animal for korban, even if it's a balmum, even if it's a chaya, even if it's a bird, you're not allowed to do it. If you did it, it's asur b'achila, and it's even asur bana. The Gemara starts, Ashkechinu, Mar Yehuda, that's his name, Mar Yehuda. This is not the regular Rav Yehuda, this is Mar Yehuda. Mar Yehuda found Rav Yosef and Rav Shmuel braided Rabba Bar Bafana, that will come here Pischa the Bay Rabba. Some say Rabba. We'll see soon, maybe the guess of Rabba would be better. But they were standing outside the doorway of Rabba's house. So there were 3 people outside, Mar Yehuda, and he asked the question to Rav Yosef and to Rav Shmuel, the son of Rabba Bar Bafana. Amalahu. So Mar Yehuda asked them, Tanya, Makadish Petach Hamor, Bebasa B'chava, B'chon Shishtu Bazara, Rav Shimon Amar Mukadeshes, B'chacham Amar Me'ena Mukadeshes. He has a brisa. We didn't hear about the brisa till now, but the brisa says that there are 3 things that Rav Shimon says that is a good Kiddushin, which is going to mean he holds his mutar bana. One is Makadish Petach Hamor. If someone gave a woman a Petach Hamor, it's a good Kiddushin. B'chasa B'chalav, it's a good Kiddushin. Chon Shishtu Bazara is a good Kiddushin. So the Gemara is very surprised. Two out of the 3 the Gemara understands, which we had them today already. That we said that Petach Hamor is a machlokes when it's alive, is a mutar or not. We said after Arif, everybody holds that it's asur. So our Mishnah could be Rav Shimon after you killed it, but before you killed it, Rav Shimon holds that it's mutar. So here the Brisa says that Reb Shimon says, "Mekadosh Petach Hamor is a good Kiddushin, no problem. It's talking about when it's alive. And Shimon holds that it's mutter. It's true. Abiuda wouldn't do it. That's a Chacham. Abiuda holds like the Chacham of Yehuda. That it's asabana. Very good. Petach Hamor, Machlokes, alive Petach Hamor, if it's mutter bana, asabana. If you gave it to a woman, Machlokes would be good Kiddushin. Basa b'chalav also, we had a Perish Gemara. The Gemara said, Amish says, Basa b'chalav is asabana. The Gemara says, Reb Shimon argues. Reb Shimon holds that Basa b'chalav mutter bana. So also very nice. This Brisa says Basa b'chalav is mutter bana according to Reb Shimon. But it says also Chon Shish to Bazara. Reb Shimon says that is a good Kiddushin. We never heard of this. Reb Shimon holds that Chon Shish to Bazara. He doesn't hold Chon Shish to Bazara as Asa. We didn't find such a Reb Shimon. That was a question he asked him. Alma Chon Shish to Bazara. Reb Shimon loved the Brisa. You here is going to say that he holds that it's not Asa. The question of love the Brisa, yes the Brisa. I'm not sure why he talks about the Brisa. The Harfi Bidya Rabbanan also would be the same thing. But the Gemara is saying that here it says Reb Shimon holds that Chon Shish to Bazara is mutter. I'm a mutter to do it. That's to do, but he holds that it's mutter. He holds that it's mutter. But no, if he says that's good Kiddushin, it says here that he argues on Mishnah and holds a Chon Shish to Bazara is mutter. But no, Minu is a Perishim Brisa. I guess Mishnah. I don't know. Reb Shimon Omer Chon Shish to Bazara Yisofu. You have to burn it. You have to burn it means it's asabana. So contradiction in Reb Shimon. By us, the Brisa says that Chon Shish to Bazara is a good Kiddushin. And there he says asabana. If it's asabana, so it's not worth anything. You're not allowed. It's not good Kiddushin. It's not a subject so much that a chai also that he, like we said before, that's what the Brisa said. That also a chai shnish to bazar is also the same mitzvah, and you're not allowed to eat it, not allowed to benefit from it. So it's a contradiction in Reb Shimon. Ishtiku, they didn't inquire, they didn't know what to answer. Now Yehuda asked the kasha, they didn't have an answer. So they came inside the door. They were standing by the doorway of Rabbah. Asu l'kamei de Rabbah. So they came inside. They came to Rabbah and asked him the question. Amalahu. So he told them. So these next two words is difficult. Now it says here palga ukminchi. What does that mean? So Rashi doesn't explain ukminchi. I'm not sure. And palga, there's a gears of palga. That means cholek al chachamim. You, the one who argues, the one who always argues. How do you say that in English? A nice word in English. The one who's always arguing.
Lawyer.
So we don't understand why he's giving him why he's calling him such a name over here. He had a nice kasha. No one had the answer. He was going to say it. I don't know.
Together it means.
The word palga alone. The word palga alone means you argument. Palga at. Yeah, you have that other places. You're so they call the Gemara in Eruvin, which also is Mar Yehuda, and over there it's Rava. And over there, Mar Yehuda did something which like a chumrah, which Rava had a time to sign. And why are you making a chumrah against everybody? No one holds like that. So over there, he called him Palga, and right at the end of the paragraph over there, so over there, they quote this more, and it's very interesting. It's Mar Yehuda and Rava. They changed the gear. It shouldn't be Rava, it should be Rava. So Rava called him Palga, but over here, no reason why I called him Palga. Here is a nice question, and he has to say a doch teres, but he calls him Palga because at the other place over there that in general he called him Palga. So it's still interesting why he called him Palga when it's not the subject. If he's coming now to say something against all the Chachamim, so okay, he deserves a title Palga, but over here is not clear why he calls him Palga. But and Ukminchi, it sounds a little bit like Ukimta, which is the next word Sachab Ma'askina. So I don't really have a shot in the word Ukminchi. So I'll just say I don't know. Anybody have an article? We can check out how they translated it. Thank you. This is Munches. Yes. And the answer is Sachab Ma'askina. He gives a dochak teretz. It's not easy teretz. That it was called Shenishkat Bazara, but it happened to be that he opened it up and he saw that it's a treifa. So Shimon Nishitasa, Shimon Lutamei, that he holds that means whenever something's also because it's a shchita, Shimon holds only if you did a kosher shchita. But if you did a kosher shchita, it's not considered a shchita. And over here, if it's a treifa, that means it wasn't a good shchita. The shchita didn't make it kosher, so it's not also included in this of Shenishkat Bazara. So even though he agrees to that, if it didn't include Shenishkat Bazara. But if it's also but if it comes out that it was a treifa, so it wasn't nishkatu bazar, it wasn't a kosher shchita, so therefore it doesn't have the din of chul nishkatu bazar, and it'll be mutar bana. Of course, you can't eat it, but it's mutar bana. You can't eat it because it wasn't a good shchita, but it's not asur bana because it wasn't chul nishkatu bazar. So it's part of docha. And he says chul nishkatu bazar is kadeshes. It only means if it was a treifa.
First of all, he said the word ukimchi means stumping. And Palja, he has a fancy word.
Stump him. What's it stump?
It means like a yes or question you can answer. It's stump, no? Stump you. And the word before for Palja is descent. How do you pronounce that?
Stump.
Like somebody who goes against he dissents. He goes away from what everybody else is saying. Like if somebody
We stumped you, so what would it be?
he stumped you, means he's talking to the two. Now Mar Yehuda asked the kasha to of Yosef and who was the other person?
Am I correct that stump means to ask a question you can answer? Is that
I think so,
fair?
yeah. So means he stopped you. The word of committed would be to stop. Like he stopped you. Like Rabbi was surprised that the two Amoram, Rav Yosef and Rav Shmuel the Rabbi Chana, that he was able to stump you with that question. And he calls him, he says, Palgo Kminchu, that the one who is the dissenter, he was able to ask a kasha that you weren't able to answer. You can say it there. It's oh, thank you. He doesn't say who he got it from. He doesn't say where he got it from.
The dissenter stumped you. It's like it's one sentence.
Right. The word Palgo means the one who dissent. And he pointed here, among who he tell to them. He didn't say, according to this, he didn't say to Mar Yehuda who asked the kasha. They came in after he asked them the kasha, so they came to Rabbi and they asked the kasha that Mar Yehuda asked us. So he said that he's the one who he was able to ask you a kasha that you weren't able to answer. Thank you very much.
Surprised that
you didn't say a teretz. So yeah, and the teretz is pretty dochak. He says you can say it's talking about that it was a treifa. And Rav Shimon the Tamei, the Tanya, Shochana said treifa, V'chein Shofet. The name says treifa, Zev Zeh Chulin Bazara. Rav Shimon Matir Bana V'chachamim Mosrim. That if he shachted the treifa in the Azara, or he knew it's a treifa, he didn't know it's a treifa, it was Nimsa is treifa, so Tanakama says it is Chulin Bazar, because Tanakama holds Shchita Shenavuya is called also called Shchita, even though it wasn't a Shchita which made it kosher to eat, but it's called Chulin Shishtu Bazar, so it's Asa Bana like any Chulin Shishtu Bazar, Rabbi Shimon Matir Bana, this case he holds is Matir Bana.
It still takes me daily. That's
He's saying even according to Rabbi Shimon, it's only because it does something. He's saying Pshat Rabbi Shimon only because it accomplished something. So, but even though it sounds like a dochik there is, but it is this brayse that shows that Rabbi Shimon doesn't just say that Chushish to Bazara is Mutter Bana, Mukudeshes, even though the brayse sounds like that before. Before it's Chushish to Bazara, Mukudeshes. But this brayse is pretty much the opposite. This brayse says that Rabbi Shimon says Chushish to Bazara is a treifa, that's when it's Mutter Bana. So pretty strong. Even though it's dochik in our brayse, but Rabba, they have a good source to say that Shimon only means that it's mutter when it was Nimsei's treifa. So what happened over here? Choshesh to Bazar is also Bano, and the source for everybody agrees to that, and the source is going to be because it says by treifa lakelach tashlichon also. Also, something else is also, and that's going to be Choshesh to Bazar. Everybody agrees. But Shimon, we know something else. There's a question about Shchita Shenavuya. So if it was Nimsei's treifa, Reb Shimon holds that it's not called Choshesh to Bazar, and he'll hold that it will be Mutter Bana in this particular case. Okay, so we finished all the halachas about Isurei Hana and Mukudeshes. And then the Mishnah continues, Machran. Machran v'kiddush b'dnei Mukudeshes. But if you sold the Isurei Hana, you weren't allowed to. But you did, and you have money now, so the money is Mutter. And that's what the world wants to know now. How do you know that Isurei Hana is not Tofes Daman? Maybe it also seizes onto the money. And if you took Yisrael and exchanged it for something, maybe that thing also becomes Asa. So you have to have a drasha to say that it's not. Minolan, how do you know that it doesn't Tofes Daman, that it doesn't seize the money also to become Asa? The answer is, Medigali Rachmana, that if you took about the zone, exchange it for something, so the other thing also becomes Asa. And that's going to be only about the zone, nothing else. Vayisa Chayim Kamohu, you will become Chayim like it. Don't go after Avodah Zarah. Don't take the Avodah Zarah. It should be, you should destroy it. If not, then you're going to be destroyed. But the drush is going to be Vayisa. Kol Chata Mahaya Mena Kamohu. So Vayisa means like to be. Vayisa, to be. It's anything that you make to be Mahaya. We would say today in Hebrew, Mehaveh. Anything that you cause to be because of that avodah zarah, also becomes chayrim. Kol shatama hayemim, and anything that you make be because of it, it's also like it. So anything that you took from that avodah zarah, made something out of it, you exchange it for something, it also becomes aser. So since the avodah zarah says that it is tofes damim, so mechlad the chol yisrael shebetorah shavu. If over there it's aser, everything else is mutter. And the Gemara right away jumps up. That's not the regular way to make it drasha. Usually you say that if sasa one place, the sasa other places also. That's the most kasha. But in Elifin now, on the contrary, you should learn out from there that everything is asa. If over there you find one place, if you find one place where it's asa and it's even tofis damin, any place which is isur no should also be tofis damin. The answer is because it's not only one of them. There's two. You should have avodah zarah v'shvius shnei ksub b'am kechad v'chol shnei ksub b'am kechad ein melamdin. Because it's not only one place. If it only be one place, then you're right. The law is going to be learned. The drasha tells you to learn out every place else. But there are two places where it says that a stop is done. So then that's called shnei ksub b'am kechad. And since only these two places is also every place else is mutter. And now we have to tell us the other drasha of shvius also shmita. It also is tofis dam. If you exchange shmita produce for something else, that thing also becomes shmita. Avodah zarah hadamora. Avodah zarah we had already. That was the drasha of vayisachem kamo kol shatamahaya and shvius mai. Where do you know that shvius also is tofis dam? It says in the pasuk yovel hi kodesh tialachem. It talks about yovel, but it's going to say shmita also that it should be holy. Yovel, it's a year of yovel. The 50th year is yovel. It should be kodesh. And that means the more nationally it's like Kodesh, like Kodesh. My Kodesh stuff is does number of Shvi stuff says the just like Kodesh, it seizes the money that you exchanged it onto. So too, Shvi also it seizes that which you changed it onto. So you made an exchange from Shvi's produce onto something else, that thing also becomes Kedusha Shmita. Ima Kodesh stuff says the number of Yotzel Shvi stuff says the number of Yotzel. It's different than Kachim, because Kachim, when you transfer the Kedusha, it's true the Kedusha of the carbon goes onto something else, but it goes off the original kachim. You're mechal of a carbon, you transfer the kedusha, so you take off the kedusha from the kachim, it goes on to something else. So over here by shmita, you're going to say the same thing, that you transfer the kedusha of the shvius and it goes on to something else and it goes off the original produce. That's not true. And we're going to see in a second. Everybody knows from experience that by shmita that the original shmita still stays shmita. You're never going to get the kedusha off the original produce. And if you're going to act from kachim, so then it should go off the original thing the same way kachim goes off the original carbon. The pasuk says, "Kodesh tihiyah lachem." So the word tihiyah is coming to be marba. It's like kodesh, and it's even more than kodesh. That it's even tihiyah, like kodesh, that it ceases on to the next product. But tihiyah, it still remains kodesh also. That's what happens when you take shvius produce and you exchange it for something. So the original shmita stays shmita, and there's also ceases. It's the second one. Ketzad, the Brisa elaborates, and it's going to say that it only. The original one always stays Kodesh. The exchange becomes Kodesh until you exchange it for something else. But once you exchange it for something else, then it does go off. And it's going to have a list of things over here. Let's just read it and then we'll say it all together. Ketzad. Ketzad. Lokach Peperish Shvias Bosa. You had produce of Shemitah and you bought meat. Both of them get kedusha shvius, and when it comes with mizbarim, it means that's kedusha shvius. One of the halachas will be mizbarim. When it comes time for beer shmita, you have to get rid of both of them. But it means that the original produce shmita plus the meat that you exchanged for it. Then the basar dagim. If you exchange the meat for fish, yasa basar nechesu dagim. Then it does go off. But at this point and on, it is always going to be exchanged, and it goes off one, it goes on to the next one. So the meat is you exchange meat for fish, so the meat is going to get released from being shmita, and the fish is going to become kedusha shmita. The dagim yayin, yatsa dagim nechas yayin. If you exchange the fish for wine, so then the kedusha goes off, the shmita goes off the fish, it goes on to the wine. The yayin shemen, yatsa yayin nechas shemen. And if you exchange the wine, what I have a story over here, you had perish shmita, and then you had meat, fish, wine, oil. So the first one, it always says Shemitah never goes off, and the rest of them, it exchanges to the last one, and everything goes off to the last one. Okay, so the last one gets seized with the Kedusha Shemitah, and the other ones go off, but the original periyatzmo, the original periyatzmo, that always stays that salsa. So what do we figure out over here? That there are two places where you see that a stove is damin. One is by avodah zarah, and one is by Shemitah. And therefore, Shnei Ksuvim B'Bam Kechad, and everything else is not going to be Tofis Damin. So all the regular Isuri Ano, we had a Mishnah 9 cases of Isuri Ano, all of them, it's not Tofis Damin. If you exchange it for something, the original thing still stays Asa, and it didn't go on to the second thing. But by Avodah Zarah and Perish Shvius, the original Avodah Zarah, I think, also stays Asa. That doesn't talk about over here. But exchange also becomes Asa, and by Shemitah, the exchange becomes Asa, the original one still stays Asa.
You said Ketzad and you gave examples. Then why do we have to say Ha Ketzad, or is that just like a review
No,
or a
Yeah,
klal?
yeah, I don't know.
If it's the klal without pratzim.
Then it says the klal again, right? In the beginning, it said also,
It just said Ketzad.
but it said on the din. It says that it's Tovis Damin, the Yotze, then it's not Yotze L'chum. Okay, but the Bryce at the beginning just says that it's Tovis Damin, and it's not Yotze L'chum. But the case that is going to explain that to emphasize that the first one is not Yotze L'chum, but the rest of them are Yotze L'chum. So maybe it has to explain a little bit more. So the case at the end is going to explain more than it said in the rule in the beginning. Nice point. But the more ends off. So what do you tell me? There are two cases.
So the Ha Ketzad is on the klal, not on the examples.
Or after the examples, we'll say the cloud. In the beginning of the cloud, we wouldn't know all this. But once it said all the examples, and it said that Yavsa Nichnas, so then it says that the cloud is that the last one leaves, only the first one and the last one remain. And now the Gemara says, what do you tell me? You told me Shvias and Avodah Zarah. That's two. But it isn't so simple that just because you have two, you don't apply it to everything else. That's a famous machlokes. Not, but somehow if you hold two is enough to say Malamdin, you're fine. Some hold that even if you have two, you still could apply it. Only if you have three,
You could do, then what would happen?
you'd apply it. Even if you have two places where the Torah says something, you still apply it to all over.
Oh,
The answer is miyute CV. It's not just there's a miyut. There's going to be a drasha to say only these. According to that Mandamar, the fact that it says two times, you don't have to say any miyut. The fact that it says only two times, so every place else is different. But according to this Mandamar, that's not enough reason. But there's going to be a miyut. There's going to be a parish drasha to say that this does not apply to other places. Ksiv hacha ki cherem hu. By Avodah Zarah, it says it is cherem. So we know that cherem means, and we said that it's tofis damim because it says. How did it say? I got the pasuk already. The pasuk was Vayisa cherem kamo. But another pasuk says cherem hu. It is cherem. So we're going to say only Avodah Zarah. Hu means only it, nothing else. And another pasuk, by Yobel, by Shemitah, says Yobel he and Midiach Vinallah, only Shemitah. So it says Psukim Avodah Zarah and by Shemitah, but then it says only these, nothing else. So everybody agrees that regularly Surah Noah is not Tofis Damin. So we finish the Mishnah, but we get that anything which is also Noah is not a good Kiddushin. And we had many examples of a Surah Noah with all the sources. And then it said that it's not Tofis Damin. And you have to have a source for that also. And the source is either going to be Shnei Ksuvim B'Om Kechad. If you have Yobel and Avodah Zarah, Shmita and Avodah Zarah, that it says that is Tofis Damin, so other things are not. If that's not good enough, so they are Ferishim Yutim to say Dafke, not other places, so it's not Tofis Damin. And if somebody exchanged the Surah for something, that other thing is worth money and it's good Kiddushin. And the rest of the Gemara. Kadesh, I didn't finish till the end of the parak. Maybe we'll be able to do it, but we'll do it together. I didn't prepare the whole thing. Hamakadesh with Trumos, of Maisros, of Matanos, of Mechatos, of Epachatos, of Ezim Bukudeshes, Afil Yisrael. Now it says that is good Kiddushin. The Mishnah before said Yisrael, it's not good Kiddushin. These things are holy to a bit, but it's not going to be Asabana, and therefore it is good Kiddushin. So if someone gave a woman Truma for it to be for Kiddushin. So the Kohen, surely, the Kohen who gives a Kohen, it belongs to him, he got the Truma, now he gives it to the woman. So for sure, why should it not be? But the Chiddush is going to be, like it says under the Mishnah, even if Yisrael gave the Truma, it's also good Kiddushin, and that doesn't really belong to him maybe, because he's chayv to give it to the Kohen. So that's going to be the Sunnah of the Gemara. So Trumas and Maisros, also the case would be, if it's the Levi that got the Maisa, then for sure, it belongs to him. Even the Yisrael that gave Maisa, that he's not allowed to keep it, he has to give it to somebody else. So maybe it's not worth money to him. So that's going to be the Sugya. Matanos means Mandas Kahuna, that Matos always means the Zerah L'Chayim V'Keva. When you shecht the animal, a full animal, you're supposed to give 3 parts to the Kohen, and it applies today also. And that's what they're supposed to do. The question is, if they do it in the slaughterhouses, it means a lot of the Zerah means that's a leg, the front leg, It's supposed to go to the Kohen. There's a lot of meat. I once went to a slaughterhouse, asked if they do it. So he said they get out of it. How do they get out of it? They make a deal with the Kohen. If all this raw l'chaim v'keva we give to you, and we'd like to buy it back from you for $10 of the whole year. You don't want it? We won't give it to you. Go to somebody else. They find the Kohen that's willing to as if make a kinyan on all of them, and then they give them some money, $100.
No.
Right?
Why isn't I no?
No, he tells them to perish. It's worth this and this money, but I would like to give it. I'll give you a present. If you accept to sell it back to me for that amount of money, I'll give it to you. If not, I won't give it to you.
You're talking about Toba Simon.
I was talking about what they do nowadays.
Who does?
All the slaughterhouses.
And what do they do?
If they do the halacha, they should give Zor l'chaim v'keva, they should give it to a Kohen.
Okay, we should have enough meat.
Oh, so Yaakov Simon said that they make a shita for the boy.
I didn't know that.
That's what a long time ago.
That works
You're not always
for
getting all these.
I went to a slaughterhouse and I
It's
asked them.
partially owned by Goy.
I did. I was by a slaughterhouse and I asked the mashgiach over there. He told me this answer:
Which answer?
that they make a deal with the Kohen, that they're going to give him, they'll knock to him all of this raw l'chaim v'kevas,
Yeah.
and they'd like to buy it back from him for a minimal
Price.
price, and he agrees. If he doesn't agree, they go to somebody else. They tell him the first one didn't agree. You also don't want to agree? We'll go to the third Kohen. Means that is, he
So a
doesn't.
different Kohen will get $10.
Here's the question. is
I
the
see, to get for a minimal price,
So it's
As
a
opposed to-
loophole. It's a loophole. You're supposed to give it to
or
him.
you're supposed to
Does it
give it
make-
to them, but.
I'll give it to you if you sell it back to me.
And that's
Then
not
you-
called,
It's called the
what's it
loophole.
called when you make somebody buy something?
Forcing.
No, it talks about make somebody sell something. Make somebody sell, not forcing to sell. I'm giving him something if he gives me a
I
good
have a
price.
better idea. If they
Oh,
want
it's
to do
not-
it now,
What's the
That's the
issue?
good should be
What's the
found.
issue? What is it? Like,
Yeah, yeah, you can't. Yeah,
No,
fine.
that-
Sell it to me.
If someone chefs, if
What's the word?
But that's
Chamsa.
that means if I source, if it was force you to sell something, it's called to be chametz.
Besachmai.
I'm not familiar. Okay, but anyway, you're supposed to give somebody chefs animal.
In other words,
Right?
Wouldn't they have to be in the scene each time?
How do they make it? They could be mizakit.
One person over there picks it up and is mizakit for the Kohen.
So did they do that each time? I don't know.
It's delicious.
Okay. The keva nowadays is not worth too much anymore. People don't want the keva. They used to use it to make cheese and stuff like that. I don't know if people use it nowadays, but it's roa and the chayim includes the tongue also.
Every animal,
Right?
on each and every
Every
animal.
animal.
Tony would be swimming with me.
Certain meats.
certain
I
means.
mean,
It's roa, the chayim, and the keva.
It's not filet mignon.
Okay, so now it says that a man was mekadosh a woman with it, so it's a good Kiddushin. Of course, if the Kohen gives it, it's cool, and it's cool. After the Kohen gets it, there's nothing holy about it. But it's the person he's supposed to get, and if he gives it, so of course that's a good Kiddushin. But the Kiddush is going to be that the Yisrael gave it. The Yisrael is supposed to give it to the Kohen, and he gave it to a woman to be a good Kiddushin. So that's the question: why is it a good Kiddushin? Like it doesn't belong to him. He's supposed to give it to the Kohen. Also, mechata
But
sefer.
she's gonna give it to him. Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about the matanos. The problem
Right.
is with the
All of them. The case is, at the end of the mission says, Afilu Yisrael. Afilu Yisrael. So it's not the Kohen. The Kohen who got it once he gives it to somebody else.
So,
The
but
Kohen
Truma is
overlay.
worth money. Right?
It's only worth money to the Kohen, but the Yisrael is has to give it to the Kohen. Why is it worth money to him? The Kohen who got it.
No,
So it's worth
somebody
money.
has Truma.
So why is it worth money? He has to give it to the Kohen. If you have
Sell
something,
it to the Kohen? I thought
you cannot sell it. You have to give it to the Kohen
I thought Fulin was more expensive and Truma was less expensive.
because there's less demand. There's supply and demand, and there's less demand for because only the Kohen. And you go to the
Why is there
market.
demand at all? You're saying they have to give it, that's it's worthless.
But the Kohen wants to sell it. The Kohen can sell it if he wants to. The Israel's not allowed to sell it. The Israel has to give it to the Kohen. But the Kohenim, they have a lot of, they got a lot of truma. They go to the market, and in the Machniv, there's a special stand over there, truma. They're selling truma. The Kohenim come and they sell the truma, and then they buy it. There's a market for the Kohen, much cheaper. The Kohenim go to the truma stand, and the Kohenim are selling it.
Sell it.
The Kohenim could sell it. They could sell it to Israel also,
Only the Kohen can eat it.
but only Kohen could eat it. So the supply, the demand is small,
The
a cheap
Yisrael could
price.
have it and serve it to, this woman could get it and then have it to have a Cohen in her house.
Who gave it to her? Who gave it? Who gave it to this woman?
The user.
How can he give you? He has to give it to a Kohen
So just like.
or
I
a
would
Bas
have-
Kohen, but he can't charge money
I
for
would-
it.
You know, we're gonna have a lot of guests, and we're gonna do Kira, and there's gonna be lots of Kohanim coming.
Yeah.
And we'll serve them this meat.
Yes, but you, Yisrael, Levi, but somebody has to give truma. You're not allowed to sell it. You have to give it. So why is it worth money? The Kohen who got it, him is worth money. But Yisrael
why
has
is
to
it
give
worth
it.
money?
If you have to give it for free, so how could why is it worth money?
Okay.
That's going to be the Gemara. And mechatas, efachatas. So I don't know much about this, but this means the water of the sprinkler that you do for paraduma, that you make somebody that's tummy mace. So the efachatas is the ashes that you made out of the paraduma. The mechatas is when you mix it with water. So that's called the mechatas. That here it says it's also worth money. You're allowed to sell it. So I don't know much about, but you can sell it. I raise them.
Those things are kodesh, they're not kodesh.
They're used to purify a person who's tummy mace. So it could be that they sold. Not only Mr. The other places also. They had sprinkling stations. They had places where it says in the Mishnah they had a chalon shel rabba, there'd be a sprinkling station that people would come and they'd be tummy mace and they would stand in front of the window and the person would sprinkle on them mechatas. And they came on the third and seventh day of their tumah. So here it says you could sell it. I didn't know that. Here it says that it's worth money. I raise them mukadashes. It's a good Kiddushin because they're all worth money.
I make it and I sell it, then I could sell it.
No, you don't.
to-
Yeah, you don't make it personally. Efachatas is the made by the tzibur. But then it says that they could
Maybe
be sold.
so I could do it for business. I could make chatas and sell it to the base of Mikdash.
Maybe.
It's a lot of work. I'm sure the base of
You got
Mikdash, if they have it
chatas?
running out, they'd be happy to buy from me, no?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Is the poor that belongs to basic business?
He was gonna sell the heifer.
I'm sorry, Dr. Fine, I don't hear.
Poor Duma, it belongs to basic bias, isn't it? Does the ashes belong to basic business?
I don't know. They gave it out to people. It says in the mission they gave it to 3 places. One was the Beis Hamikdash. They gave it also to each Sheva. They made it in different places. The Mishmoros, Kahuna. It says that they had one on the Hara Zaysim, one by the Beis Hamikdash maybe, and one they gave out to the Mishmoros. But then they would have to have it available to people to get sprinkled on. So maybe people took the job and they got a price for it, and maybe they're allowed to sell it after that. I don't know. Here it seems to say that it's worth money. I didn't see the Gemara yet. Maybe it's going to say something. If we do it today, maybe we'll see more that I didn't see. I don't know enough about this. But that's what it seems to say, that it's worth money. Any Rashi on this? No Rashi. Okay, if we don't get it today, we'll try to find out till tomorrow. So the Gemara continues. And the main Chiddush in the Mishnah seems to be Afilu Yisrael. That's the Chiddush, at least by the Chumas HaMaisros, etc. Amagula. Tova Sana, ain't no moment. That's going to be a subject now that I was trying to debate with Leib Yaakov if it's worth money or not. So that's what the Gemara calls Tova Sana. Means it's true that Yisrael has to give it, but he has a choice who to give it to. So everyone's standing online. Could you give it to me? Could you give it to me? Could you give it to me? And he has a choice who to give it to. Is that worth money? Means it's true. I have to give it to somebody. I can't keep it for myself. I have to give it to, but I still have the choice who to give it to. That might be
know that Cohen is going to be.
that the Yisrael has the benefit of deciding who to give it to. He could charge money.
Tovasana is his choice.
His choice. So he can't charge the Kohanim, let's say, to pay me for the. He can't say whoever's going to pay me the most, I'm going to give it to him. That's not allowed. But let's say there's a relative, and he wants to pay money. Give it to my relative. I'll pay you money. Give it to my relative. So it could be that's okay. That the fact that I have the right to decide who to give it to. So
Cohen says.
let's say Cohen's grandfather. Cohen's grandfather, who's Yisrael, he says, I have a grandson who's a Cohen, he's a big tzaddik, whatever, he's very hungry, whatever the case is, and I'd like you to give the truma. So I'm not paying you for the truma.
You go swing by me whenever you want. Yeah.
What is that?
The grandfather says, if you give him the truma, you could use my pool. And
No, I'll give you $100. I'll give you $100. I'll give you money. I'm not giving you I'm not buying the truma from you. The truma costs much more, but I'm giving you money to decide to give it to him. You have the right to decide who to give it to. So that's called Tobasana. I have the benefit of deciding who to give it to. Is that am I saying right? Or maybe Rashi explains it.
If that's the way you're explaining it, then it doesn't make sense, right?
It was against the Mishnah. Why doesn't it make sense?
Saying $100 is not money. we just explained it.
No,
and then
but you
you
just
you just gave a definition of Tova Sana, and he says it's not worth anything.
So maybe I'll say it differently. Maybe I didn't say. Maybe I said it too extreme. He has the benefit of deciding who to give it to. Of course, when a person decides to give it to somebody, that person likes him, like,
That's what I was thinking.
and
he
that
likes him,
liking is going to be worth money
it's
to
gonna
me.
be worth
The
something.
fact that I did you the favor of giving it to you, so
Maybe
that
you'll do a favor for me
yeah,
someday.
so maybe that's the right way to say it. Maybe
Okay, but
maybe
then
what I said is
even
not
Lula
true.
saying even that is not money.
That
It's
right?
not-
Yeah,
Not
Rashi said.
tangible.
It's not tangible. Good. Okay.
Here Rashi says, "Kasal k'daitach afal pi she'ein lo b'chol elu ela tova sana she'v'yoda litnei b'chol mi she'yetze v'gam hi lo zochsa ela b'tova sana zu she'tzricha litnei l'kohen v'amaisa l'levi." The man doesn't belong to him. He has the right to decide who to give it to. And when he gave it to a woman, he didn't give her anything more than now he gives her the right to give it to whoever she wants to. She'll get that benefit that
That it could be
she'll
her grandson.
or
It
she could
some
decide.
relative of hers.
Or the other or somebody that she wants to give it to, and that Cohen is going to be obligated to her or grateful to her. That gratitude is not worth money. So the Gemara thinks that that's what it says in the Mishnah. So I have to check out if I was right that I said that a person can even take money for that. I'm not sure. But if you take money, then you're saying for sure it's money.
It's not.
And here I'm just saying that it's gratitude. Is the gratitude worth money? So Ula says that it's not, and it's against our Mishnah. That's how the Gemara presents this. That the Mishnah seems to say that Tova Sana is considered money. Ula says that it's not, and that's the kasha now. Esvei. So
Because he's giving her truma,
which she's going to have to give to a
and he
Kohen.
says you give it to whichever Kohen you want.
Right, and that's worth money. That's valuable to her. That she has the right to give it to whichever Kohen she wants, even though it's not money. She can't sell it, but she can at least give it to the one that she wants.
They'll like her.
And that like her, and maybe that's worth
Yeah,
something.
They'll bless her, they'll
It's
bless her.
it's intangible.
They bless
She's a
everybody.
Kohen.
They bless everybody.
Yeah, but giving them a nice piece of,
It's an intangible.
big piece of meat.
So I'm not sure if I'm right that you could even charge money for it. I'm not sure. But okay, I'm
I
a
know
little.
he's probably embarrassed to sell it, but you'll get favors, you'll get good connections.
Okay, are you allowed to? I'm a little. It's not. He didn't start on Mishnah. He started as a rule. It's not considered money. Esvei Ababa, Kasha Leula, it's Kasha from our Mishnah. I'm a Kaddish Vitumas and Mice, Zuv Matanas, Mechat, Sefer Torah, I raise Zu, Mikudesh, Safili Yisrael.
So therefore,
So-
sure, that has to mean that it's worth something. or else-
Right, so
There
else it wouldn't be
has to
Kiddushin.
value for it to
Right,
be
because
money.
it itself is not worth money. It's just that I have the benefit
Right.
of who to give it to, and that's all he gave her. So that's considered money. Amalei Hachav Yisrael Shenaftu Lo Tvala Mi Beis Aviimo Kohen. Because Sava Matana Shalahumu Kamisha Mudamim. So the Gemara's answer in short would be that it's not talking about the Yisrael who has to give it to the Kohen. It's talking about somebody that really owns it. The Yisrael who owns it. Usually Yisrael doesn't own it. Usually Yisrael just has the right to give it to somebody, but you have to give it. But there is a case of somebody owning the Truma. That will be the case. So the Gemara is a fancier case, but let's say a simple case. Rashi has a simple case, then he says why the Gemara says a little fancier. What if he inherited from his grandfather the Kohen, a Yisrael, whose grandfather is a Kohen? Inherited Truma. He had Truma. Someone gave him Truma, and he has Truma. Now the Kohen died, and he bequeathed it to his grandson, the Yisrael. So he owns it as Truma. Now he says he go to the market and he sells it in the market, like this, the Truma stand over there in Machne Yehuda. So it's not there yet, but there's going to be one day a stand in Machne Yehuda that's a Truma stand. So this is the case that he owns it. Means don't make it right from Mishnah. Mishnah means in a case where the Yisrael owns the Truma and is promised worth money to him. The Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says not that Yisrael got an inheritance of Truma. It says he got an inheritance of Tevel. Tevel means
The whole untied produce, the whole.
he got the untied produce from his grandfather, the Kohen.
Doesn't have to give the truma to anybody else.
Right, because it belongs to him. Even though, because same way the Kohen, he owned the Tevel, and he also had to be mafish Truma and keep it. So the Yisrael grandson who inherited it from him also was allowed to separate the Truma and keep it. Because he got inherited this Tevel from his grandfather, the Kohen.
Who's not tied to truth.
Oh, you can keep it.
Not chayav to-
It's not
You can
chayav to
keep
give
but
it.
It's still truma. You can't eat it.
Right, but he can sell it by the Truma
Yeah,
stand.
yeah,
But and Rashi says the Gemara could have been simpler. The Gemara could have said that he inherited Truma from his grandfather, the Kohen. And the Gemara doesn't say that. He inherited Tevel. And then if he said inherited Tevel, the Gemara continues. Because you have to say that even though it's not yet tied, it's considered tied. Means because it's not so simple. If he just inherited Tevel, it could be that it's not considered that the Kohen yet separated the truma, and now the Yisrael
Right.
grandson, what?
It's not considered that he got the truma.
He got only tevel, and now he has right, and now he has to
well, he
separate
has
truma, and
to
he has to give it to the Kohen. The
Mm-hmm.
Gemara, if you don't say this, then he has to give it to a Kohen. He can't keep it. If you say matanos, the words mean matanos that were not yet separated, uplifted, they're as if they were uplifted. If you hold that as considered was uplifted, it means it's as if he inherited tevel, which is already hufrash. That you have truma also. It has over there chulin. Right now it's tevel, but you look at it as if it's already chulin and truma.
But
So I
either way,
got
he's going to be
Right.
Either way, he's going to have.
yes,
to
yes,
be
but is he allowed to keep it?
So
If you consider it truma, so then he's allowed to
Zocha
keep
and
it.
truma.
If you consider that's only tevel, then he has to have separated, but he if he's
question is,
truma, but
does
if
he
it was
own the
tevel,
truma?
as truma, did he inherit truma? If he inherited truma, he's allowed to keep it. If he inherited tevel, that's not truma, he's not allowed to keep it. But this mission is going to hold that matana shalom kamishu mudami. We look at it in the future already as if it's going to be separated, and therefore it's as if he inherited truma and he's allowed to keep it. He has to separate it, and he's allowed to keep it, and he's not. He can sell that on the market. So Rashi wants to know why is it more so fancy? It says that it's tevel, and he holds matana shalom kamishu
And,
humu.
excuse me, on the Kasapar is the Mishnah.
Yes,
What-
yes. In order
and
to say
this
this
Mishnah
shot,
is holding
right?
that it says. as
If it was
he already-
separated, and therefore he's allowed to sell it, and it's worth money for
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, okay.
And Rashi says, why does the Gemara say simple that he inherited truma? You don't need this fancy pshat because that says it wouldn't be a chiddush then. That's not a chiddush. That if he owns truma, there's no
Okay,
chiddush.
it's like
Afilu
anything,
Yisrael.
anyway.
It's like anything. It must be a chiddush. What's a chiddush? Matana shlomo k'misha mudami. Therefore, even though he inherited tevel, it's as if he inherited truma and he's allowed to keep it. So it's worth money. So what did he do this for? In order to deflect the simple pshat, which would have been tovas hana. And Ola says no, tovas hana is not considered money. So why is it with Kiddushin over here? It must be in a fancy case that he inherited truma or he inherited tevel, which is going to be truma, and therefore it's money mamish. But if it would only be tovas hana, the gratitude is not worth money.
So Ula deflected the question.
Right. So far Ula's strong, and there's a Mishnah which seems to be against him, but he saved himself. Well, I mean, it's pretty late already. Okay, we'll stop here.
Yeah.
Yes, Ben, thank you. Yes, thank you.